Okay, so ready to dive into a world where charisma and controversy collide?
Always.
The world of televangelism,
Hmm.
specifically.
Yeah.
The rise and fall of Jim Bakker.
Yeah. A name that, brings up religious fervor and financial scandal, all those things.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's what we're going to unpack today. Like, was he a true visionary, spreading the gospel? Or was he uh, a cunning con man, kind of exploiting faith for his own personal gain?
Right.
Big questions. We've got articles, court records, even details about, did you know there's a new Broadway musical about Tammy Faye?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Buckle up.
Yeah.
It's a wild ride.
It is.
So it all starts with a young Jim Bakker, born in Michigan in 1940.
Okay.
And he begins his career at Pat Robertson's Christian Broadcasting Network.
CBN.
CBN.
Yeah.
Hugely influential.
Oh, yeah.
Robertson
Powerhouse.
in religious broadcasting.
Absolutely.
So Baker's learning from the best,
Mm-hmm.
at least in terms of building a media empire.
Yeah. He is, and he starts with a children's show,
Oh, interesting.
which is ironic
Yeah.
considering what,
His later image.
yeah,
Yeah.
his later image. But it shows he had a knack for television
Yeah,
and for connecting with an audience,
right.
at least in that way.
And then he goes on to co-found the Trinity Broadcasting Network
Right.
with Paul Crouch,
Yeah,
another big name in televangelism.
absolutely.
So it seems like Bakker had a talent for finding the right partners
Oh, he did.
to build these huge.
She did. But that partnership didn't last.
Oh, really?
There were disagreements and personality clashes. You know how it goes.
Yeah, yeah.
And so Bakker left to strike out on his own.
Okay. And that's where PTL comes in.
Yes.
Praise the Lord Club.
Mm-hmm.
He launches the PTL Club TV show
Right.
and a satellite network,
Okay.
broadcasting his message to a huge audience.
Huge audience, yeah.
But it's Heritage USA, his Christian Disneyland in South Carolina.
Yeah.
That really caught my attention.
Yeah.
I mean, what was he thinking?
It's fascinating, right? I mean, on the one hand, you see this grand vision, this desire to create a place where families could, come together, experience their faith in a fun, engaging way, something different, something more experiential than traditional church.
Yeah.
But then you see the other side, the financial maneuvering,
Yeah.
and that's where things get a little...
Yeah. And that raises some red flags.
Yeah.
He started selling lifetime partnerships,
Mm-hmm.
offering 3-night stay annually at the Heritage Grand Hotel for $1,000.
Okay.
Sounds like a great deal
Mm-hmm.
until you realize that he sold way more partnerships than there were rooms.
Yeah, over 66,000 partnerships
66,000.
for a hotel with less than 6,000 rooms.
Wow.
I mean, the math just doesn't add up. Even
No.
if every single person used all 3 of their nights every year,
Yeah.
the hotel would be overbooked.
Right.
And let's be realistic.
Yeah.
Not everybody's going to use those nights every year.
Right. Right.
So,
So was it just bad planning?
right.
Or was there something more intentional?
Or was there something more?
Something more manipulative?
That's the question, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's the million-dollar question.
It is.
And it gets even more complicated when you look at Bakker's lifestyle.
Yeah. Multiple homes, private jets.
Air-conditioned doghouse.
A what?
An air-conditioned doghouse.
For real.
For real.
It was all a bit much, especially for a man, preaching about humility and spiritual devotion.
Yeah, I mean, it was a lot.
It's almost like he was living this double life,
Mm-hmm.
projecting this image of piety on television,
Yeah.
but indulging in extravagance, behind the scenes.
Right.
And that duality,
Yeah.
that disconnect between the public persona and the private actions,
Right.
that's at the heart of the question, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Visionary or con artist.
Right.
Was he genuinely trying to spread the gospel? Or was he building this personal empire
Yeah.
on the backs of his followers?
It's a good question. And then, of course, the scandal breaks in 1987. News of his sexual encounter with Jessica Hahn,
Oh, yeah.
a young church secretary, becomes public.
And it all starts to unravel.
It does.
Yeah. So this encounter had happened 6 years prior, and it had been kept quiet with a hush money payment.
Mm-hmm.
But once it comes to light,
Right.
it triggers this cascade of revelations.
Mm-hmm.
And Bakker resigns from PTL
He does.
and asks Jerry Falwell,
Another prominent televangelist.
the other one, to take over.
Right.
So what was he hoping to achieve, bringing in Falwell?
Well, I think he was trying to protect his legacy, his ministry, his family. He believed that Falwell could steer PTL through the storm. But what he didn't realize was the depth of PTL's financial problems.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Millions of dollars in debt.
Millions.
Millions?
Wow.
And then came the allegations of multiple extramarital affairs, further shattering Bakker's carefully constructed image.
Wow. It's almost Shakespearean,
Yeah.
this downfall of this powerful, charismatic leader.
It is.
Yeah.
And it raises all kinds of questions about the nature of power, the allure of fame, and the responsibility that comes with leading a large following.
Yeah. And so the government launches an investigation into PTL's finances.
Right.
Now, they were already on Bakker's radar because the FCC,
Mm-hmm.
the Federal Communications Commission, had begun an investigation as far back as 1979,
Wow.
questioning their fundraising practices.
Mm.
But this time, they weren't letting go.
No.
They were digging deep into Bakker's spending, his compensation,
Mm-hmm.
the whole financial structure of PTL.
Everything.
It was a long, drawn-out process, culminating in indictments for
Right.
Bakker and his associates, and then the trial,
Oh, the trial.
1989.
Yeah.
It was a media spectacle.
It was.
Testimony about Bakker's lavish spending, his million-dollar bonuses,
Mhm.
while PTL was struggling financially. Did he offer any defense?
He claimed he never actually sold anything.
Hmm.
He insisted that all the money he received was in the form of donations,
Okay.
and that he'd even tried to refuse those bonuses.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but then ended up using those checks to buy more houses.
That's a tough sell.
Yeah.
What was the jury's reaction to all of this?
Well, in a dramatic turn of events, Bakker had a psychological breakdown right in the middle of the trial.
What?
Yeah.
No kidding.
Witnesses described him curled up under his attorney's couch, hallucinating that the reporters were giant bugs.
Wow, talk about a meltdown under pressure.
Yeah.
It seems like the weight of the accusations and the public scrutiny, it finally got to him.
Absolutely. The judge had to order a psychiatric evaluation.
Hmm.
After 6 days, Bakker returned to the courtroom
Wow.
to face 24 counts of fraud and conspiracy.
What a situation, right?
Yeah.
Facing serious prison time after building this vast empire.
Yeah.
So what happened? Did the jury buy his defense?
They did not. Bakker was found guilty on all 24 counts,
Wow.
sentenced to 45 years in prison,
35 years.
and ordered to pay a $500,000 fine.
That's huge. 45 years. He didn't actually serve all that, did he?
No, he ended up serving almost 5 years before being paroled in 1994.
Okay.
But while he was in prison, Tammy Faye filed for divorce.
Oh, wow.
And shortly after, she married Roe Messner.
Wait a minute. The
Yeah.
guy who oversaw the construction of that Christian Disneyland?
The one and only.
Talk about adding insult to injury.
It's one of those strange twists of fate, right?
Yeah.
And to add another layer of irony, Messner himself ended up serving 27 months in prison for bankruptcy fraud.
Wow. This whole saga is full of surprises. So Bakker gets out of prison. Does he just fade away quietly?
Not quite.
Okay.
He returned to television with the Jim Bakker Show.
Okay.
He's also known for selling survival food
Survival food.
and making controversial claims about the apocalypse.
Survival food and doomsday predictions. That's quite a shift from theme parks and prosperity gospel.
It is. It makes you wonder if he's tapping into a different kind of fear now, a fear of the future, a fear of societal collapse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of fear, let's talk about the elephant in the room.
Oh, yeah?
Jessica Hahn.
Mm-hmm.
How did the scandal impact her?
Mm-hmm.
What became of her after everything went down?
It's a complicated story.
Yeah.
She posed for Playboy multiple times
Real.
and made appearances on The Howard Stern Show,
Wow.
certainly using the scandal to gain notoriety.
Yeah.
But it's also important to remember that she was a young woman caught in a web of power and manipulation.
Right. And it's easy to forget that she was also a victim in all of this.
Absolutely.
Her story is a reminder that these scandals have real human consequences, reaching far beyond the headlines.
They do, yeah. And it speaks to a larger question about the role of women in these religious organizations,
Yeah.
the power dynamics at play, and the vulnerability of those who may not have had a voice at the time.
Right. So we've got this complicated figure, Jim Bakker.
Yeah.
Talented,
Yeah.
charismatic, but also deeply flawed.
Yeah.
Visionary or con artist.
Yeah.
Where do you land on that question?
Oh, it's tricky. He clearly had a gift for connecting with people,
Yeah.
for understanding their desires and fears. He was a master communicator,
Yeah.
a pioneer in using television to spread his message.
Yeah.
But at what point does ambition cross the line into exploitation?
Right.
When does the pursuit of wealth and power overshadow the genuine desire to help others?
Those are tough questions.
Yeah.
And there are no easy answers, but
No.
that's what makes the story so compelling. It forces us to examine our own beliefs,
Yeah.
our own susceptibility to charismatic figures, and our own definition of right and wrong.
Absolutely. And it's a story that resonates even more today in a world where social media influencers and online personalities hold so much sway.
Right.
We have to be even more discerning about who we trust, what we believe, and where we put our faith.
Speaking of faith,
Yeah.
let's talk about Tammy Faye.
Okay.
She went on to have her own career, separate from Bakker, right?
She did.
Oh.
After her divorce from Bakker, she remarried
Okay.
and even appeared on reality TV shows
Oh, wow.
like VH1's The Surreal Life.
Reality TV, that's quite a turn.
She was full of surprises.
Yeah.
And she became known for her compassion
Oh, okay.
and her progressive views, especially her support for the LGBT community during the AIDS epidemic.
That's pretty remarkable for someone who came from the world of televangelism in the 80s.
It is.
She wasn't afraid to challenge the status quo.
She was not. And in doing so, she earned a whole new following. People who appreciated her authenticity, her humor, and her willingness to embrace those who were often marginalized by the religious right.
Right.
Yeah.
Sadly, she passed away in 2007 after a battle with cancer.
She did.
But her story continues to inspire people. It's a reminder that even amidst the controversy and the personal struggles, you can find your own voice and make a positive impact on the world.
You can.
And her story is being revisited in a new Broadway musical called Tammy Faye.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It's attempting to re-examine her life and legacy,
Okay.
separate the woman from the scandal, and explore her complex role in all of this.
A Broadway musical.
Yeah.
I'm intrigued. What's the overall message?
You know, it's a mixed bag, honestly. The music is catchy.
Okay.
The performances are solid.
Okay.
But the script doesn't offer any easy answers. It raises questions about faith and forgiveness and the American cultural landscape. But it doesn't necessarily provide a definitive interpretation of Tammy Faye.
Which, in a way, might be the most honest approach, because she was a complex person full of contradictions. And maybe that's why her story continues to fascinate us.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
We're drawn to those who defy easy categorization, who challenge our assumptions.
Yeah.
And Tammy Faye certainly did that.
So Jim Bakker is still out there, preaching, selling survival food, making apocalyptic predictions. It seems like he's found a way to tap into a new audience, people who are perhaps drawn to his message of fear and uncertainty.
It's a different kind of following than he had in the PTL days. But he's still a master of connecting with people on an emotional level. And in a world where fear and anxiety are on the rise,
Yeah.
his message seems to resonate with those seeking answers, seeking someone to tell them what the future holds.
It's a reminder that the allure of charismatic figures, the desire to believe in something bigger than ourselves, is a powerful force. And it's up to each of us to be discerning,
Yeah.
to question what we hear, and to be wary of those who might be exploiting our fears for their own gain.
Absolutely. We have to be critical thinkers, especially when it comes to those who claim to have all the answers.
It's this fascinating paradox, right?
Yeah.
Like, we're more skeptical than ever,
Right.
but we're constantly bombarded with all these new figures, vying for our attention, our trust,
Our wallets.
our money.
Yes.
It's the, like, digital age version of the televangelist phenomenon.
It is.
The platform has changed, but
Yeah.
the underlying dynamic
It's very similar.
are similar, yeah.
Yeah.
So how do we navigate this? How do we, like, separate the genuine from the manipulative,
Right.
the visionaries from the con artists?
Yeah. It's not easy, but there are some key things to look out for.
Okay.
First, I would say look beyond the charisma.
Okay.
Charm and persuasion can be powerful tools, right?
Yeah.
Used for good or for ill.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be swayed by smooth talk alone.
So substance over style.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Look at their actions,
Okay.
their track record.
Mm-hmm.
Do their deeds match their words?
Mm-hmm.
Are they transparent about their finances, their motivations?
Okay.
Are they accountable to their followers?
So it's about looking beyond the surface,
Yeah.
digging deeper into their history, their motivations.
Mm.
And be wary of those who promise too much, too easily,
Yeah.
whether it's wealth, happiness, or spiritual enlightenment.
Right.
Be skeptical of those who offer quick fixes, or guaranteed results.
If it sounds too good to be true,
It probably is.
it probably is.
Yeah.
And be wary of those who create an us versus them mentality,
Oh, yeah.
demonizing critics or outsiders.
Yeah.
This is a classic tactic used to solidify loyalty and discourage dissent.
It's a way of shutting down critical thinking, right?
It is.
And creating this, like, closed loop where only their voice is considered valid.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A true visionary will welcome diverse perspectives, encourage dialogue, and be open to constructive criticism.
It's about fostering a healthy exchange of ideas, not shutting down dissenting voices. And finally, trust your gut.
Yes.
If something feels off, if your intuition is setting up red flags, pay attention.
Yes, we often ignore those inner whispers, but they're usually trying to tell us something important.
They are.
So, in a world where charisma and controversy often go hand in hand, remember to think critically. Look beyond the surface and trust your instincts.
Yeah.
These are your best defenses against those who might be seeking to exploit your trust for their own gain.
Jim Bakker's story is a powerful reminder that the line between visionary and con artist can be blurry.
Absolutely.
And it's up to each of us to be, vigilant and discerning.
It's a story that continues to resonate, reminding us that the quest for meaning and belonging can make us vulnerable to those who offer easy answers or exploit our fears.
But it's also a story that highlights the power of resilience,
Yes.
second chances, and finding your own path,
Absolutely.
even amidst the controversy and the adversity.
It is.
And it reminds us that the search for truth and authenticity is this ongoing journey, one that requires us to be
open-minded,
but critical.
And
To question everything.
Yeah.
And to trust ourselves.
And to trust ourselves.
What?
Well said.
Well, I think it's a perfect note to end on. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive
Yes.
into the captivating and cautionary tale of Jim Bakker.
It's been a pleasure.
And remember, listeners, stay curious, stay skeptical, and always trust your gut.
Always trust your gut.
Until next time.